All right, game design students, I hope you're all doing very well. I am actually live recording this video, so those of you who are in the class are in the room right now working on part 1, and this is part 2 right here. You might be wondering, why are you recording this right now? Shouldn't you have prepared this ahead of time? I did. I just realized there was a few outdated parts of the videos that I have been using for the last year or two that I made, so I wanted to update them, just change a couple things. So that's really why we're here, okay? So let's start into part 2, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna create an enemy sprite. Excuse me, in the last video we created a player sprite, a tiled background, we have our layers. We wanna make sure our background layer is locked and our player layer is unlocked so we can add an enemy sprite to the player layer. Now, what I need to do, double click. I'm gonna add a sprite, okay? Now, what I wanna do is go to fill. You can make your sprite whatever color you want. I'm gonna do kind of like a dark green, I think, okay? And we're gonna keep this enemy sprite really basic. We're just gonna make it a square, okay? And that means we're not gonna need to mess with our collision polygon, but we do need to mess with our origin points, okay? Now, the origin point, or our image point, sorry, origin point we're gonna leave right in the middle, don't even touch it. But we're gonna do a similar thing to our player sprite, where we're going to add in a new image point, all right? And that image point, we can right click it, and we are going to quick assign it to the right, okay? So you can see our origin point right in the middle, image point is all the way to the right on that edge. And that's very important that we position that there and that we have that image point. If we don't have that image point, it's gonna be a problem because when we actually do our turret behavior and we're spawning a projectile, okay, it has to spawn from somewhere we want to spawn it from that point right there, okay? So let's go ahead and click the X and we have our enemy sprite, okay? We need to do a couple things here. Okay. Number one, we need to add a few behaviors. So let's go ahead and go to behaviors. Okay. And we're going to add a new behavior. All right. And the one we want to actually add is turret. Okay. So let's go ahead and take our turret right here. And we have our movement. Okay. And let's go ahead and look at some of the properties here in the properties panel that the turret has. So it has a range of 300, a rate of fire of 1. It does rotate, rotation speed. It has a target mode. You can do predictive aim to actually make it a little more difficult to mess with, right, as you're actually making your game. But we're going to skip that for right now, okay? The only thing we want to do is we want to drastically increase our range. If we actually look at these sprites, we've made them really big. If we look at the size, this sprite itself is 250 pixels, okay? And so if we look at this, 300 range, okay, barely actually gives it a range outside of the sprite itself. So we need to have a drastically bigger range. And what I'm going to choose, I'm going to do, I think 1200 is probably good. You can mess with that range yourself as you do it. But to kind of learn how the turret behavior works, we're gonna go with 1200. You also see these sprites are really big. This is probably not a super functional game, but the objective of this is more to learn how this behavior works more than make like a really sweet game. But we will give you kind of a base that you can mess with as you go here. Okay. Other than that, I'm not going to mess with any of my other my turret behavior things here. I'm not too worried about it. What we need to do now is we need to create, well, sorry, the second thing we need to do before we skip on, we never leave a sprite called just a sprite. So you see here, my enemy sprite is called sprite. I'm going to change that to enemy, or even better, I'm going to change it to turret. Okay. So that is a turret. Now, what we want to do next is we want to add in another sprite. So I'm going to double click, search sprite, okay, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm actually going to position it outside of the layout. I'm going to click it right there. First thing I want to do is I want to drastically change the size of this, okay, and I'm going to go to resize image, okay, so to do that it's right here, it's just these two arrows, we're going to resize image, and I need to change one setting here. We want to make sure that keep aspect ratio is checked, okay, if yours is already checked, perfect, that's great, otherwise click checked. So make sure keep aspect ratio is checked, go to width in pixels, and we're going to just change this to 10, and it'll give us a little box that's 10 by 10, okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this little box with red, okay? And the reason why is this is going to be my laser, okay? So let's go ahead and click that and click the X. And you can see it's pretty small, All right, that's what our little laser looks like. As always, can't leave anything named just Sprite. I gotta go ahead and change the name. So we have created this little laser, and it's really important that you make sure that this is off of the layout, and you'll see why in just a second. So I'm gonna select laser, I'm gonna go to my property panels, and we're gonna add 2 behaviors that are very important, okay? So let's go ahead and add a new behavior for the laser, and the first one we're gonna search is bullet, okay? Bullet movement. All right, and what this does is it basically makes it, puts our projectile, our sprite, whatever has this behavior on a vector movement. It just picks a direction and a speed, and it goes, it can accelerate, and you can mess with those values. I'm going to add one more behavior, and that is going to be destroy outside of the layout, right? So what happens is we need this sprite on our screen, right? It needs to be here, but as soon as the game starts, it will destroy that, and then we will spawn more of that object as our player character is targeted. So let's go ahead and look here at our behaviors. All right, the only thing I want to change here is the speed of this. I want to make it about 1,000 to start with. I think 400 is really slow. 1,000 might even be too slow. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but we want to make this faster. If it's really going to be a laser, okay, it needs to have some serious speed. Okay. Obviously, we're in space, no gravity. Acceleration, you can just leave as 0. It'll just be a constant speed, right? Laser's going to go at the speed of light, so there's not going to be any acceleration anyway. Okay. So here we are. We have our turret sprite set up. We have our laser set up. Okay. In the next video, we're going to jump in and add some events, and we're going to play the game. You can click this right now, and you can see really nothing happens. The turret doesn't react to our player at all. Okay, even though it has that turret behavior and it has a range, right? We had set its range to be bigger. Why is it not doing there? Because we have to have some events that actually make things happen. But that will all be a part of the next video. Okay, appreciate you guys watching this one. I'll see you in the next one. Let's get that turret going. Bye.